So this is maybe not politics as usual. This is different. This is actually like, you know what? We're gonna try to fix something before
Politics is unusual.
people burn more stuff down in this country. So yeah. So we have this. This is not really breaking news. This is kind of ongoing news, and this is a good article. It kind of aggregates all the different situations, and it's the hot button word reparations.
Reparations.
And pretty much we're talking about it today, especially because the massacre that happened in Oklahoma, and even though those old people like in the hundreds are like they're still not giving those people money for their devastation of their lives. They're still not giving them money, so all they're getting is a bunch of documentaries and like and Oklahoma jerseys. So
Hide the money, y'all. There's poor people around.
so we're gonna go right into it about this reparations, and this is like a lot of people realizing a lot of crazy shit. Black people, reason why reparations discussion, because black people made their own boots, and then you said pull yourself by your bootstraps. Yeah, we pull yourself by our bootstraps. We do that. We make our own boots, and then they burn the boots off of us. So this is why reparations is important, because you just
And then they cut our hands off and then still tell us to tie those bootstraps.
Yeah,
with no
exactly.
hands,
So
with bloody stumps.
yeah, so this is a start. So the headline kind of just focuses on the nonprofit aspect of it, that this nonprofit received a six-figure reparation. But we're going to start with that story. And there's actually a video to this. Let's check it out.
It just
Is it?
touched my heart. It's very few people can tell a story from their hearts. It's the people who lived through it and the descendants that they empowered. Well, my dad is a former state representative, Representative Don Ross. Also, he was the creator of the commission, Greenwood Commission. So it's important to me because his legacy, it was a 30-year dream that came on. So it's been a long time coming.
He's definitely an uncle. He's got a Bluetooth headset in his ear.
When he has a
I think my
holster
family still struggles with the fact
for his
that
cell phone on
these
his
people
hips.
were never
You
compensated.
serious? I got to rewind and look at that.
Mission. His legacy.
And I'm saying he's an uncle.
So a long time coming.
I mean, I'm sorry, we're distracted by aesthetics right now. So he's
A
got the
long
Bluetooth
time
headset.
But the local government and the governor cannot be without a response.
I think my family still struggles with the fact that these people were never compensated. You know, the generational wealth that was foregone opportunities is what I call it, because we would never be able to experience what could have been, because that was robbed from them.
So I need you to organize.
Could you pause the video right quick? Yep. It's really important what he just said about what could have been. But you know what's really fucked up?
Yeah.
Even after there were no reparations, black people went and got it on their own. And then what happened when they did that? They had people come in with pitchforks and torches and bombs and bullets and then kill black people and raze their community to the ground when they were getting it on their own legally, not bothering anybody. So it's not even just what was lost as far as, being compensated for all of the lives that were chewed up and spit out during slavery. But even when black people were just willing to get it out the mud and do so with dignity, honor, and self-respect, they were destroyed because of that, for no other reason.
Yeah.
And that bothers me.
Yeah, and then keep in mind that there's a lot of stories of white people actually going to these towns and using the services. So even though segregation was hardcore, they still had white people sneak into the movie theaters, had white people go to the establishment. That's still happening. So it shows you, how like we weren't going to be oppressors in ourselves in some ways. We were trying to make a world that we wanted to be, and they burned it down anyway. So just keep playing.
I came to Oklahoma, of course, to see the beauty of Oklahoma, but to encourage people to sit down and resolve this in a way that this can be repaired and that these descendants receive a repairing. The word reparations is not a dangerous word. It's an international human rights concept. And it just means that you're going to repair the harm that was done. I think it can be done in the city and by the state government. because the actions against the Tulsa Greenwood community were governmental actions,
Mm-hmm.
sanctioned, looked at, and ignored by those who ran government. And I think H.R. 40 is the next significant civil rights action of our time. The Commission to Study and Develop Reparation Proposals, because the government will say, one, that we're sorry, but more importantly, how do we address these steep and dark disparities, which, by the way, is not negative against any other race or color or creed. What it does is it lifts the boats, the conditions of all people.
I'm excited to announce that a little bitty grassroots community north side organization called Justice for Greenwood will be granting a gift of $100,000 for each survivor. This is just a gift.
Someone will pause. The survivors wanted $1 million. Actually, they requested $1 million, and rightfully so.
That's a lot of fucking interest.
Yeah, exactly. They requested
some
1 million.
lives.
Exactly, they requested 1 million. So we keep playing.
But we make
But
a pledge
100K, man.
Yeah,
that we
after
will continue
taxes,
to raise money.
that's like
We
$40,000.
will continue to find
like
resources and make sure that when we talk about Greenwood and the massacre, we talk about what first? The people.
So I want to go back what Sheila said about lifting all boats, and that's exactly right. Like people complain about crime, people complain about black on black crime, people complain about all these things. But what's the root of these things? Desperation, poverty, mental illness. If you want to help communities, give them the resources to be better. Not give us more cops to beat us up. So let's put our article up again, and actually has a good breakdown about not this what happened in Greenwood, but like other places around the country that are trying to do reparations in their own way. Some a little messier than others, but it's better to start. It's better to do something than nothing at this point, So this is just the start, and this is interesting here. A Black-led Louisville nonprofit says they received a 6-figure reparations payment from a person who discovered their great grandfather owned slaves in Kentucky. Mind you, great grandfather, not great 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 grandfather, or great 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 grandfather.
Yep. People
pretty...
keep thinking that slavery was like 1,600 years ago. No, that was like maybe in Egypt or some shit. But we're talking about right here in these good old USA. There are people who are still alive who are just a couple of generations removed from slavery.
And I guess the nonprofit Change Today, Change Tomorrow, which launched in 2019, discussed the reparations check as a blessing for us definitely owed, and they got a 6-figure. For some reason they don't want to disclose the 6-figure. So nonprofit leadership declined the name to provide contact information for the donor, citing the person's request for confidentiality. The donor had come into wealth on a 25th birthday. So this is a 25-year-old's great grandfather.
Dude is not that old.
Yeah. So being aware of how hoarding wealth is a huge contributing factor of inequality in this country, they decided they should give most of it away. They learned that great-grandfather enslaved 6 people in Bourbon County. So this is the thing is, because the great-grandfather did not record the names of the enslaved people because they saw them as fucking property, the donor
they
couldn't
didn't even have names.
Yeah, Toby or some shit.
I'm about to say Kunta Kente.
Yeah, I'd rather have no name to be Toby. So
your name is Toby.
And that's what literally went down. They couldn't identify the descendant, so instead they donated money to a nonprofit. And this is crazy. Our history is so wiped out that people don't even know where the fuck to give the money to. They don't even know. So this is kind of a dilemma because right now the nonprofit plans to put 40% of the money to support an organization staff. Another 40, but not the 6 descendants of the slaves.
But let me ask you this question.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this question because a lot of people, the reparations topic has been bandied about.
Yeah.
A certain hue of skin color. You see a lot of, we didn't do anything wrong, so we shouldn't have to, and blah blah blah. But some economists say that to properly pay back Black America for what happened to Black Americans.
Like centuries.
$14 trillion dollars.
$14 trillion dollars.
That's the price tag that some economists have put on that, because when you think about it, the wealth of the United States, the foundation of the total wealth of the United States was built on the backs of slaves.
So is that the amount of wealth that Black people lost because of, I don't know, discrimination? Because we lost $14 trillion.
Not that
owed
not,
$14
I
trillion.
mean, I think that Black people, as reparations, they said would cost about $14 trillion.
Because my question
if they wanted to be thorough in basically apologizing for what happened to Black people.
That's crazy.
So, you know what I mean? So, of course, a lot of people are against that. So, you know, it is what it is.
Yeah, so she says is this organization is trying to plead their case. They're saying it's difficult for Black-led organizations to get financial support from big institutions, which is a shame because there's institutions getting millions of dollars going off other places. We feel that other entities, and specifically foundations locally, need to get up to speed. So this is.
Oh wow! Check this out.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt. The math on reparations, a total cost of $51 trillion in the tripling of the national debt. Reparations, and this is an article from 2019 in Market Watch. Reparations would have to include payments to both African Americans and Native Americans. Robert Johnson suggested that it would cost $14 trillion to Black people. If you took the values of successive generations of U.S. slaves, say the total values in 1800, 1830, and 1860, the applied Treasury bond interest rates to the money over the decades since, today we're looking at a reparations bill of $16 trillion.
And that's just all for the work that slaves did during
that time period. Yeah.
Jesus Christ. That's how much wealth
Jesus
slaves made. Yo, where is my money?
Yo, like as a matter of fact, if you want to go on ahead, that's right, I keep forgetting I could do this. And if you want to put this up there, obviously you could put that up there, but this is some crazy shit. Check this. And of course you see Danny Glover. He's Danny Glover, I want to be a billionaire. Give me reparations.
Glover's always on it. He's always on it. He goes to like Venezuela and watches like the elections, make sure it's not fraud stuff happening. He's always on this shit. That's probably why he's not in movies anymore, because you know.
Yeah. So check this shit out. Yeah. The bottom line right here. If you took the values of successive generations of U.S. slaves, say the total values in 1800, 1830, and 1860, and applied Treasury bond rates, it would be a bill of about $16 trillion. That's about 3/4 of U.S. domestic. That's about 3/4 of U.S. GDP, and slightly more than total U.S. personal disposable income for a year. That's around $1 million per African American household.
So in a parallel universe, right now, when Black people got their due, there's like multiple Black trillionaires. Whatever parallel universes happen out there, there's like billionaire Black people somewhere in another universe because we got our due years ago. So
so check this out. This is really fun.
Yeah.
If we're going to pay reparations to today's African Americans for the wrongs done to their ancestors, we surely would have to do the same for Native Americans, who were also treated appallingly. While slaves were forcibly robbed of their labor, Native Americans were forcibly robbed of their land.
Yeah, I mean,
paying that back is going to cost the U.S. another $35 trillion. That's another 2 years' worth of personal disposable income. Why $35 trillion? Well, the Bureau of Economic Analysis recently estimated that the value of all U.S. land was about $23 trillion. But their figure was for 2009. And in the 10 years since, if you look at farmland and at real estate, values have risen about 50%. According to the U.S. Census, this will work out to about $7 million per Native American household. If we borrowed the money this $51 trillion reparations bill will more than triple the current U.S. national debt from $22 trillion to $73 trillion. Good luck with that.
Well, that asshole needs to realize that, when Andrew Jackson used the Trail of Tears when he murdered a whole bunch of Native Americans, he sold that land to leverage American debt years ago. So fuck that. Give us our money. I don't give a fuck about debt anymore.
Fuck your debt, son.
Yeah, exactly.
Hide the money, y'all. There's poor people around.
I bought this baby straight cash.
In a dice game. How about a lap dance for the world's richest man?
So I want to break this down. So this is the nonprofit method. This is like anonymous donors who find out their great grandfather was a total asshole. And they give that money to anonymously to a nonprofit. That's one way to do reparations. That's the thing. This situation is complicated. It's not this one way to do this. So this is one way. It's kind of sloppy because are people even going to see this money if 40% goes to staff and 40% goes to community outreach?
I didn't want to talk about that too much because that was just going to make me angry, and I'm just happy that somebody felt compelled to do what they thought was right, and exactly. To give up that money.
So we're going to go next to the next way of doing it, which is happening in March. A city council in Evanston, Illinois, which is north of Chicago, voted 8-1 to implement what many called nation's first reparations program for Black Americans. So Evanston's program will initially provide 16 Black residents with housing grants of up to $25,000 if they lived in Evanston between 1919 or 1969. And descendants residents can prove they experienced housing discrimination after 1969 as a result of city policies. So this is crazy about racism. There's different eras of like injustice. There's slavery, there's redlining, there's it's like all these different areas where Black people economically were deprived, So now we're talking about redlining.
And I'm glad that you mentioned that because I was probably going to interject and talk about these kinds of racist policies, both in corporate America and in, I guess, governmental America. I guess you're right. I believe that the push for reparations would not be so intense if they didn't burn down several different Black Wall Streets, if they didn't work so hard to keep Black people down and away from opportunities in this so-called land of opportunity, if they didn't work so hard to try to put us in bad positions and they treated us equally to everybody else, I don't think that there would be a call for reparations really at all.
No.
If not for these things. But when people ask you for reasonable things like equal treatment under the law and equal treatment in the private sector, and you don't do that, then people start digging and digging. Oh, yeah, I unearthed some atrocities. So if we can't get reasonable demands met, then we're going to just keep asking for more and more and more. And then you're going to say that we're crazy asking for what we don't deserve and blah, blah, blah. But when we were asking for something simply as just honoring our dignity and making sure that we get a ticket for a traffic stop instead of a bullet.
Yeah. Leave our town alone. Just go to the movie theater and leave our town alone. Don't come here and burn our fucking town down because you're scared because your dick is small, because that's what fucking happened. Dead ass.
That's pretty much what it was.
Yeah. So
it wasn't that they were out there gang banging and raping white women. No, they had an economy that was Black owned and Black circulating, and they were being successful. And that's why they had, the whole thing that happened in Tulsa and all these other areas. That's why those things happen.
It was allegedly they used the catalyst of like a young Black elevator operator allegedly attacking a white woman, and they used that as an excuse to go there and murder everybody. But I'm going to show you that reparations is happening. A lot of cities are happening, and like Sheila said, there's actually a federal thing they're trying to push to like investigate HR 40 to investigate how to navigate this, because like you said, it's complicated. Remember originally the boring ass reparations was 40 acres in the mule. It's way more complicated now than fucking 40 acres in the mule.
You know how much 40 acres cost now?
How much?
A lot. It's fucking U.S. land.
It's probably
I mean, look at real estate
500,
prices right now.
yeah.
Why do you think that they said that the Native American reparations would be so much more than black people?
Yeah.
Because of the land itself and
Yeah.
the value of the land
This whole fucking
currently.
country. Yeah. So this is a story. ... We're gonna go to a happier story because we've been talking about Uber and how
I
they
thought that was a happier story.
even happier because it's actually we're talking about this is Uber because everyone knows about Uber is like making people work for no money. And then we remember earlier in Black Power Magic, early episodes, we played this weird video of this driver who was really excited to be exploited by Uber. I don't know if people remember that. He was like, "Yeah, I worked so many hours. It was great, buddy."
Oh yeah, he was one of the people that didn't want to be classified as an employee.
Yeah.
Ew. Yo, I'm sorry, Messiah. We got to take a break to boo that man. Boo. Boo.
So we're gonna talk about dudes who people actually give a fuck about their dignity. So we're gonna go to a worker-owned cooperative tries to compete with Uber and Lyft. So almost 2,500 drivers in New York are organizing to create what they say is a better deal for. So I actually have this app. It's called Co-op. It has long ass waiting times, honestly. But I'm pull it up for you so you can see this app right here. I want you guys to see it. So this looks like Uber, but it looks like nicer with green. Co-op. So for years everyone knows about Uber molesting, abusing people, and now the drivers cooperative is open for business in New York. This is the most recent attempt. The group was founded by former Uber employee, labor organizer, and black car driver. So he's begun issuing ownership shares to drivers in early May and will start offering rides through his app on Sundays. So now you can actually use this app right now. The wait is a little longer than Uber, but hopefully you can plan around that and like know that you're actually putting money into somebody's pocket and not that weird Lex Luthor bald head guy that we keep showing on Black Power Magic Hour.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, it's an ambitious plan to challenge the ride-hailing apps. So it's a small co-op, mind you, it's really small. But I want to break down the money. So the
that's what matters in the end, right?
Yeah, the drivers co-op said it planned to pay 10% above the wage minimum set by the TLC Commission, and return profits to drivers in the form of dividends, which only super rich people hear about. Dividends.
Mm-hmm. Or if you're playing Monopoly.
Monopoly, or you're a shareholder somewhere. So in normal times, the high wage might attract drivers to the co-op, but these are not normal times. Many drivers have been hesitant to return the road given the pandemic created a national shortage. And that's the thing. Uber treated people so much like garbage. People don't even want to fucking do any kind of taxi shit anymore. Any taxi shit.
Because it's not even worth the risk.
Yeah.
There's a cost-benefit analysis, and right now there's a lot of cost, but no benefits. Literally.
So, and we had this article before. Literally, they were calling drivers a supply, like human supply. They were calling them like this garbage cattle. So why the fuck I want to go back to a company that calls me like human supply? So we go back to Lyft. Lyft says we're constantly working to improve the driver experience on our platform and share the goals of allowing drivers to work efficiently and independent. A spokesperson for Uber declined to comment because they're assholes. So this is kind of exciting. And this is immigrant people. This is like this is not like this is the thing. People, who are these Uber drivers? And it has a lot of initiatives to it. The group teamed up with the Lower East Side People's Federal Credit Union to help drivers refinance their vehicle loans, an effort to help reduce their expenses. Drivers,
I would definitely fuck with them. I'd fuck with them.
I mean, this is like they're actually it's created by drivers who know what drivers need, and that's what makes it important about worker co-ops. That's what makes worker co-ops way better than having a boss who just signs off and shit and goes off somewhere. Worker co-ops mean that the workers know what the business actually needs to survive and to make money, because they're there. They know all the ins and outs. So it's exciting. Right now, like I said, the wait is super duper long. So the cooperative aims to raise pay for drivers and address common concerns like predatory rates, surprise deactivations, which cut them off from apps that connect them from passengers. So a lot of times Uber would just cut off someone whose livelihood is that app, and there's no explanation. Same way Facebook bans people, Uber will ban drivers, and that's actually making money. That's not just like posting memes and shit like that. So that's violent. So this is exciting news. I really hope that you guys try it out. I'm gonna show you this app. I don't know if you guys can see it. Just pull up the website. Website is up here. It's got a cool design. I like it. It's not. I was worried it's gonna be kind of ghetto looking, but it's really smooth. So support us. We build 100% own ride share of the future. It's been featured NPR. And look at this, all brown people, Asian brown people. This is who do Ubers. So members of the drivers make 8 to 10% more on each trip than on Uber and Lyft. And all profits go back to drivers as dividends. Get started. So just keep an eye on that. That's exciting. So that's, I guess, politics not as usual, because that's
Very unusual.
Definitely different things happening right now. So it's exciting. Hopefully people support that in New York City. Don't go on the Lyft. Don't go on the Uber. So that's Black Power Magic Hour with some good news for once on Twitter, Facebook, and Discord and YouTube. And then Dr. Regina, he's live on Twitter, YouTube, Discord. So Twitch, talking shit. And that's Politics Unusual.